it's like the same price if you buy one mimosa. They're like, oh, we'll just upgrade you to unlimited, and it's like the same price. I was like, okay,
Bottomless mimosas.
yeah. I was like, all right,
yes,
because
please.
because the waiter kept asking us. They're like, oh, we have to actually change it though. Like, are you really gonna have more than one? And Claudia's like, I don't know. He's like, oh, I'll change it anyway for you. I was like, okay.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Time. I'm your host, Josh. You, madam, are addressing a man who is in fact quiet and yet not quiet, if I may offer you a riddle.
Wait, what is this? I don't remember this quote. When was this?
It was from Tom Hanks.
Oh, it's Tom Hanks. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
The professor.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get there why I didn't
This
recognize
is,
it.
and so those of you that are just in audio speaking, it was Jared, the co-host.
This is a Christian house, boy. No hippity hop language in here.
I almost used one of the hippity hop, but I was thinking like maybe more like the one where she's kind of like that music doesn't make me want a hippity hop.
Oh, yeah, that was at the beginning. No, I like this one better because she says this is a Christian house, boy.
No hippity hop. Yeah. So if you didn't gather already from the title of the episode and everything else,
I know they clicked on it.
Yeah,
you already know.
We're talking about the Ladykillers, the Coen Brothers movie, not the 1955 version.
Yeah, I was going to mention that also.
So this was in 2004, rated R, an hour and 44 minutes. An eccentric, if not charming, Southern professor and his crew pose as a classical ensemble in order to rob a casino, all under the nose of this unsuspecting but sharp old lady.
Mm-hmm. By the way, this is only a year after Intolerable Cruelty?
Yep.
That was 2003.
Release-wise, yeah.
Wow.
So directed, Joel and Ethan Coen. Writers, Joel and Ethan Coen, and then William Rose, who wrote the original 1955 version.
Oh, gotcha.
So, and then Roger Deakins is the cinematographer again.
Yeah.
And then Carter Barwell.
Yes.
Our estimated production cost of $35 million.
What was the last one?
I think it was like 50.
Oh, yeah. That was like crazy high for like a rom-com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, okay, we can get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I have a question about that specifically.
Sure, yeah. I might be able to answer it. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Good. Hopefully you can.
I'll make something up if I can.
All right. And I'll just believe you if you're confident enough in it.
Yeah. Then we got Tom Hanks, Irma P. Hall, Marlon Wayans, J.K. Simmons. I don't know if you say Zaimai. I don't know how you say his name.
I don't know.
That's my guess. Ryan Hurst, Diane Delano, Stephen Root, and then Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah, little cameo from him. Anybody else that you recognize that I didn't put on there?
Only one more is George Wallace, and he is in a Seinfeld episode, so I'll talk about that later, like before. So I'm just saying, we're getting a lot more instances. I think the Coens are...
crossovers with Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Is it the same universe, maybe?
Could be.
Multiverse?
Could be.
That'd be crazy. Like, if really they tried to do like some crossover like thing. Well, what was it? Mad About You was in the same universe as Seinfeld.
Really?
Yeah. No, sorry. No, Friends. Not Seinfeld. Because the actress that plays Phoebe also played Ursula, and they wrote it as like her twin sister, and then she really plays like a waitress in Mad About You. So then they even had them show up in one episode of Friends and get confused and think she was Ursula, her twin sister.
Okay. I thought you were saying Friends and Seinfeld. I'm like,
no,
what?
No.
Friends and Mad About You.
Friends and Mad About You, but I was confused in saying Seinfeld and Mad About You.
Gotcha. I did not know that.
So same universe, I guess. Anyway.
I think it'd be awesome if for like I don't know when the Coens are going to do because their most two recent movies I believe they did separately.
Right.
Next one they do together, if they do another one together, it'd be cool to get like a lot of Seinfeld cast in it. Doesn't matter what the movie's about, but just get like even Jerry Seinfeld, get him in it.
Yeah.
You know, be cool to just get a bunch of and all these random people like that's in this one
Yeah.
and Oh Brother Where Art Thou. There was two people from Seinfeld in that.
Yep.
Some deep cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think, was there any others? I think there was one more. I don't remember which movie. Anyway, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Bring it. The Seinfeld verse. The Seinfeld
I will.
verse.
I always will.
So you had never seen this movie. Did you know
Yeah.
anything about it?
Nope.
All right. So me neither. So I was not aware of anything or what we were getting ourselves into. So what'd you think of it?
Well, I also didn't know about the original
No.
until I
didn't-
looked into it.
Yeah. Same. Mm-hmm.
So overall thoughts with this one, kind of similar to the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling I'm thinking. Well, I didn't want to have any kind of like specific feelings going into this, but when we were talking about intolerable cruelty last time,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, even though I didn't know anything about it, I was thinking Ladykillers maybe might be another kind of weaker one. But then I know what comes after that. I was like, and that's a very strong one. So I'm wondering if this is kind of like their kind of down period a little bit.
Yeah.
Because honestly, their 2000s have been good before that, right? We talk about Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Mm-hmm.
And the man he wasn't there especially I actually really liked.
Yeah.
Although that one might be controversial. That might be one that a lot of people don't like. I don't know. But this one, yeah, I kind of feel the same way as, not in how I feel about the movie specifically, but just how much I liked it was kind of, it was just okay. Let me see what I actually wrote here because I like
It was just okay.
Yes. Very different than the last movie, but I feel similar about it. I like the way the movie started and ended, actually, but it was pretty rough through the whole middle, I would say. And then I have a feeling that the original Ladykillers, because I looked into it a little bit, 1955, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know Alec Guinness is in it, which is cool. The original Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. I have a feeling that one's way better because when I looked up, it seemed like it had a really high rating. Haven't seen it, but yeah. This one I'm assuming is not quite as good as the original, but yeah, I don't know. I'll get into it more, but
Yeah.
very different kind of movie than the last movie.
Yep.
I also want to say that I didn't think any of the comedy worked except for the stuff that what's her name, Marva?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the stuff she said was funny. Pretty much everyone else didn't really like the comedy. But yeah, what do you think?
Probably in some similar feelings that you have about this one. Like I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. You know, it was. I liked how it started.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of the ending. The execution on the ending was it got a little too cartoonish for me. Like,
Yes.
and so that's kind of you get the middle. I think maybe I enjoyed some of the middle more than you because I did enjoy the like the planning the heist and then them trying to execute the heist, and then of course some of the stuff that went wrong there. That stuff I thought kind of worked funny wise.
Okay.
The yeah, and then we'll get it, but I liked liked all the church choir and the church and stuff with her. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, and then I don't want to get into more specifics, so we can dig in. But the only other note I was going to say here is this is not this is another movie that takes place in Mississippi, which our brother Arthur did, and it's like kind of like an odd thing because it's like not a lot of movies get set in Mississippi.
No.
So I'm wondering do they have like a fascination with that area? We know they're not from that area,
Right.
because they are definitely from Fargo. That's why they made the Fargo movie.
Right.
So,
Well, and then also, I think they stick with like specific states a lot because we were talking about Blood Simple was in Texas. Wasn't there another one? Then I know the movie we're going to do after this, No Country for Old Men, takes place in Texas. I believe it was also filmed in Texas. So they like to at least go back to specific states, I guess.
yeah.
Often,
So, yeah,
but
I
I'm
don't
not sure
know.
the reason.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, there must be some fascination there with
Or
Miss-
it's just because it's cheap to film there.
could be. Well,
Yeah.
but you can also you could film in Mississippi as a state if it's cheaper, and say it's Georgia or something. You don't have to
You don't
necessarily.
have to, yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can't
That
go
happens all the time.
can't get too crazy, or it might not look like what you're trying to say it looks like. But at least stuff that's in the same vicinity, general area, Louisiana. Anyway, yeah. But I just thought it was interesting because it's not common
Mm-hmm.
to set your movies in Mississippi.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's funny. The one that I always think of the most because it happens a lot is shows that are supposed to be like right in New York City, but they're clearly in Toronto
Yeah.
or somewhere because
Yes.
it's way cheaper.
Yep.
And they don't really do much even to make it look like New York. So that always takes me out a little bit. I'm like, this is clearly not New York.
Yeah. It's none of it's real. It's just it's a TV show or a movie. So
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, let's get into the specifics of some of these scenes and things that we liked and didn't like.
I wanted to start with, because you were talking about the budget, 35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first question was, what time period is this movie? Because I was confused. I don't think they ever said, and it's kind of, at sometimes it seems like it's older,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I guess it's 2004, like when the movie came out.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know.
confusing.
I was trying to. I mean, it's a good question because I definitely there's definitely is what's the word like ambiguous about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I know it was intentional. They, because if they wanted to, they would just put it at the beginning of the movie, the time period. But because like in the casino, I mean, even the way the people are dressed and just the way the casino looks, it looked like 2004.
mm-hmm.
But I remember, like, especially the opening of the movie looked very old timey kind of feeling. I don't know exactly what time period. So anyway, that just confused me. And that's why I was going into the budget. I was wondering how much was involved with that because for that reason. And again, it's not every scene though, so not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of it might be some of the talent cost because there's definitely some CG in there too.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, there was way more in this than
At least like a obvious stuff.
obvious CG. Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like at this point, Tom Hanks and J.K. Simmons probably both
Yes. Especially Tom Hanks. Yeah.
carry a little bit of a cost to them. But
Yes. Yeah. You probably get paid a lot. Yeah. That reminded me, I just saw, it just came on my recommended feed on YouTube. And the views are insane on it. So it seemed interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but it was a guy breaking down a lot of movies where they say there's no CG. And the tagline was, no CG means invisible CG. And I was like,
pretty
oh,
much, yeah.
that makes sense. And I mean, there's a lot of movies like that. I'm assuming the most recent one is Oppenheimer because he kept saying there was no CG, but
Right,
I guarantee there's a lot
Yeah.
that you just don't know, like you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I need to watch that video.
Yeah, that sounds like a fascinating one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, would you like or not like anything you want to start with? Besides the top?
Yes. All right, I'm gonna skip this one because that's a negative one. I'm gonna go positive, then I'll go negative.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, I guess I already said this. But I'll just continue on it. Like I said, I think the main comedy I liked was with Marva and like some of the stuff she said. I just also just thought she was great
Yeah.
in this movie. She was really good. She was one of my favorites. Also the guy that George Wallace that I mentioned, which he's not in it much, but he's the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's from Seinfeld. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, but yeah, no, I think she was one of the best. And I was trying to think what else I've seen her in because she looked familiar.
Right, but I didn't look it up.
I didn't look her up though. But yeah,
you're right. She was like a little, but I wasn't sure.
What's her her name? Irma.
Yeah, Irma P. Hall.
Irma P. Hall. Okay. You have to look that up. But yeah, anyway, she was one of my favorites. And then, well, actually, I can go ahead and go into this because actually it's kind of opening scene with these two characters, with Marva and the sheriff. I really like the opening scene when she goes and her whole long speech to him. I thought that was great. So that was kind of part of it in the opening. Actually, also getting to cinematography, some of the opening stuff I thought was really cool.
Yep.
So going into that, I was like, okay, but then pretty quickly I started to not like it. But yeah. And then again, like I said, I like aspects about the ending, but I agree, some of it very weird and cartoony and kind of like too quick and like kind of brushed off a lot of stuff. I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The one of the notes I had was that the opening scene with Mrs. Munson, and with the cops.
That was her first hip hop line where you were talking a hippity hop line with she said it doesn't make me wanna
hippity.
Yeah.
And then there was some there was just the whole interaction was really good. And then,
also you could tell like the sheriff and then the other guy that's sitting there, like they literally are doing nothing all day.
Yeah, they were sleeping when she came in.
Yeah, right. But like even this was like the most exciting thing about their day was just her coming and saying this.
Yeah. But then they don't believe her at the end that she even has the money, which is funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that part I liked in the ending. But
yeah, I did too. Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention specifically. Yeah.
I liked, well, let's say this. It was a little abrupt when all of a sudden you're like, they kind of introduced the rest of the gang. Like all of a sudden you're like, what is this I'm watching? Who is this I'm watching? Like why am I, because they didn't give you any connected tissue to like why they mattered until like later when they all show up to play instruments at her house. And so you're just like, who are these people? And I mean, like it works basically once you get far enough in, but like even some of them, they felt like even like I say almost like a tonal shift.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
You know, and you're like, whoa, it just took me out of it.
I agree.
So
also,
it weird.
Like some of them, it was so like out of nowhere to where like until you see him later, you have no idea like, oh, this is going to be a crew member. Like I thought it was just some random scene that's just thrown in here. Yeah, it was kind of.
Yeah, just kind of weird.
I agree.
But then, and then the other thing, and maybe you know, I think you were alluding to this, and I kind of agree with you. Like, I just didn't really care for Tom Hanks in this.
I'm glad you said that. That's what I was going to mention next. I did not like his character at all in this.
Like, yeah, I just did.
And it's
I think part of it was the accent, like whatever he was doing, like just never quite sat right with me, and it was just like sound. Like,
like I think this is, of all his movies I've seen of his, I think this is his weakest movie.
Yeah,
which is crazy because he's such. I mean, we all know how great of an actor he is,
Yeah.
And even I guess the last movie we've done on here with him was Road to Perdition, and that was a very out of the ordinary role for
Right.
him. We talked about how it was a very different role, but he was still
Like,
good.
it was his kid's favorite role of his because he knew it was the least like his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I mean, he had to like work for it.
Yeah, and it was good in that movie. But like this, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, just didn't care for it.
which is crazy because again, we talk about. I imagine he's probably the one that got paid the most because he's the biggest actor, especially in 2004.
Yeah.
And I think he was the weakest character.
Yep. But sometimes I don't know, like it, as a director, studio, like all those things that go into it, and sometimes you're weighing the options of people that maybe would be interested, and you're like, oh, a name like Tom Hanks would get people to come see it.
Yes.
So there's always those things that I think are weighing in people's mind. So even if you're like, maybe he's not the most ideal person for the role, maybe the hope is that he pulls some people in. Kind of.
No, that makes sense. I imagine just because at this point, Coen Brothers probably in 2004. I don't really remember, but I'm sure pretty well known at that point.
Yeah.
So between that new Coen Brothers movie and Tom Hanks is in it, probably got a decent amount, even though, and people that probably knew the original movie too.
The buzz, yeah.
Yeah.
The buzz, yeah.
I had no idea about the original movie, but yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I did like the, once the gang got together and then they start planning the heist, and you start to really see, oh, this is what the movie's about. Because honestly, up to that point,
you don't really know.
You're like, what do we? What? Yep. Why does this guy even want to stay here?
Yeah, it was pretty far in before you understand.
Yeah. What
the plot of the movie is.
Because even the setup for those different people, and you meet, Gawain, Maxam.
Yes.
And you're like, what does this casino have to do with anything? But yeah. So
I did like the interaction with so it'd be him talking to Stephen Root, the manager.
Yep.
That was good.
That stuff was good.
Yeah.
And him and J.K. Simmons.
Oh yeah. I did not like the
Garth Pancake.
Great name, but I did not like how much they relied on the IBS joke with him. I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It was just like,
yeah, they did one too many times.
Yes, they really did.
Like I think they set it up because earlier they had him where he was like had the reaction,
yep,
and then he didn't say anything, and then you even saw like Marlon Wayans like character like, what was that? And then he just kept moving on, and then but then like in the initial execution you were like, okay, but then when they had it like later cause an issue, and then
yep,
I was like, okay, that's too much. But I was gonna say, yeah, but the plan of the heist, I did like, I thought it was funny when he blew his finger off. Like that whole situation was done well. I thought like comedy, because he's like explaining. It's like, doesn't matter if these are together, like as long as they're separate. And then you're like, I knew it was, it's like nothing. I knew it was coming,
sure.
even, but then yeah, it still was funny to me.
One of the I guess one of the scenes, yeah, because he ends up being one of the crew members. But this scene, I thought it was, it still was out of place, but I thought it was funny when they go to rob the donut shop. And then the donut store owner is, what's his name? What's his character's name in this? I don't remember what they call him. I mean, he's mostly silent. But
yeah, the general. That's all they call
just
him.
the general?
Yeah, that's all they call him.
So I did think it was funny because, again, when you first see him, I just thought it was just, that's it, you're going to see of him.
Yeah.
And he comes out and I just thought it was really random because we have this Asian man, but he has almost like a Hitler mustache.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Well, um, also the whole thing with his cigarette, like constantly flipping in his mouth.
Yeah.
That's kind of gross.
Yes, it is.
But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those setup scenes, I think, I don't know, would have to do with editing or pacing, to make that make a little more sense to like, hey, we're gathering our crew.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I think it was more tonally because like I think it fits into that where you're talking about the ambiguousness of like the time period, because I think up to that point it felt like it was an older time between the interaction with Mrs. Munson and the police officers, and then she shows up back to her house, and then the professor shows up.
Yes.
All those things, like it feels like it was a much older time period. And then all of a sudden you cut to, I can't remember which was first, but like the other setup things for the other
I think
characters.
it's the casino right after.
Yeah. And then you're like,
it's a very big tonal shift.
yeah, and it's just the tone is different, the time period feels different. So then you're like, are we jumping in time? What are we doing? And then
goes right away to hip hop music too in the background. So yeah, it's very completely, and I don't know. So obviously it was an intentional thing they wanted to do, because that wouldn't be just by accident. But
right.
I don't know why they decided to do that though.
Yeah, just I don't think it helped anything.
No,
I think, yeah.
My last, I think I have one more. Yes. Yeah, George Wallace, the sheriff. He was in the Seinfeld episode with the Junior Mint.
Oh.
He's the doctor in the operating room, and the Junior Mint gets stuck in the patient. Yeah.
Right on.
Yep. I think that's the only episode I remember of him in, but he could have shown up again.
Sometimes they bring those people back.
Mm-hmm.
Seinfeld was good at that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, like my last thing, like I said, I like the well, a couple thoughts. Like the actual heist execution was a little crazy, but then,
yep,
the one thing with the Marlon Wayans character, where he then like obviously was a Mason, which you don't really know, because it's like his setup. He's already getting the job as a janitor at the casino, and so you don't know that he I guess he has a skill, because then he's like fixing the wall, right? But like the Waffle Hut scene where they're there, and then he the whole interaction, he brings his woman.
I forget her name.
Yeah. The mountain girl.
The mountain girl? Okay.
That was kind of funny. Like, but then it's like obvious, like he was planning on taking it off for himself, I think, and that's why. But yeah, it was that was kind of a funny scene as well. Yeah, like I said, but the ending with the
dumping the bodies.
Yeah, and it just got.
I know.
Well, it was just like some of the initially you were like, oh, okay, this didn't work, but then when they kind of struggle, and Marlon Wayans, so right, not Marlon Wayans, character that accidentally gets shot, like, and you're like, okay, that was like believable there, but then it's like, then the snowball after that of like when the general is like the whole situation there, and he gets whatever, he accidentally swallows this thing, and then his cigarette, and then he's like, drinks her water, which has like her
with the
her
teeth in it.
and then you're like, and then he's like freaks out and like stumbles and falls down the steps. Like that whole, I was like,
I know.
really?
Yeah, I don't.
Like he was such a, it seemed like he was such a controlled person that I don't think
It's like they, and again, they don't do it in every movie, but it's like sometimes they just can't help themselves and have to do these really wacky, cartoonish things that I don't think work that often.
Yeah,
in these movies.
I agree.
Because like that's not in really, at least to that like absurd of a degree. Like there's not really any much else of that in the movie. But it's like they've like have to put in at least a little bit for whatever reason, and
yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, the idea of everyone kind of randomly dying without her having to kill anybody specifically.
Yes. And then what happens with her, yeah.
And then she ends up with the money.
Yeah, I like that part.
And then she's like, I'm going to give it to Bob Jones University. And they're like, of course, the police are like, yeah, go for it, because they don't believe her. And that was funny.
Yeah.
That was good. I'm going to talk a little bit of visuals.
Yeah. I don't have much. Hopefully you have more than me. I just have the opening credit shots. I thought was great. It was very specific, like, look to it. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you know more how to describe it, because it didn't. It kind of looked like surreal to me, and I think it was through the whole credits. I really liked how the camera moved though with it, and the specific choice. But what's weird is we don't really get that feel for the rest of the movie at all. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of it. It reminded me of something, a specific style, but I couldn't think about like the name of anything. So I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Over the credits?
Yeah, I'm trying to
opening credits.
Yeah, you're talking about where you had like kind of the barge and it ends up with the trash.
Yep.
And yeah.
Because obviously it goes back to that at the very end too. But this is different for the opening.
Yeah, I had that down just from like a visual. Because it kind of establishing stuff of like where you're at and what type of town you're in and all that stuff. Thought it was good for that too. But I don't know, it had like you said, it almost had like a little bit of cartoon animation like tinge to it. Does that make sense?
Yes. I can't.
Which I guess figure out exactly what a lot of it might have been CG. I don't know, because I mean, obviously the barge and stuff is, and the trash pile island or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. No, but yeah, the look of it. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of, maybe like old school cartoon looking, but mixed with
real footage.
Yeah,
like it's almost like they added like a filter to the footage, in post or something, playing with it. Yeah. Which, I mean, it didn't look bad. Like, I thought it looked good. It's just, but like you said, it's not throughout the whole movie. Like it's kind of
yeah. And that's what I mean. Like that further kind of messes with the whole thing. How inconsistent not only the tone, but like even like we talked about the time period. Like you see at the beginning that specific style. Then we're going into kind of an old time period. Then modern 2004.
Yeah.
And then back some, and then I don't. Yeah.
It was a little, it was a little all over the place.
Yes. But again, that's what I mean. It's similar to Intolerable Cruelty, because I thought that was all over the place too. But I think the plot of that was like of the kind of movie it was trying to be.
Yes.
That was like the main thing with that one that like I was really thinking about.
Yeah.
This one at least was more coherent, at least with what kind of movie they were trying to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though it was later before you even realized what the movie was about.
Yeah. Yeah. I also had a note, just because of going in order, but there's an interesting POV shot inside the football helmet for the football player.
Oh, yes.
And I just had a note because literally then a year later, Jarhead, which also had the same thing,
Yeah.
which Deacons did as well.
Yeah, you're right. Also I should have wrote that down. That POV shot. And it goes way longer than I thought it would too. It
Yeah.
wasn't a one shot though, right? It was cutting.
I think there's some cuts in there. Yeah, I think so.
But it's still a pretty long sequence. Yeah.
Yep. That's how you're introduced to the dummy, the brute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I just say, I mean, in general, like I think so I mean, some of the stuff with the tunnel and the basement and all that stuff, kind of, or cellar. What did they kept calling it? They didn't call it a basement or a cellar.
Yeah, they had a specific word for it. I don't remember.
Yeah, they're calling it something else.
Again, yeah, it was like a really like old timey sounding word for a basement.
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking it.
But maybe this is because some of the stuff maybe they're borrowing from the 1955 version,
True.
keeping it in.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why maybe that's why the tone's kind of mixed, because they didn't update some of the language.
Yeah, but why would you want like some of that and then mix it with like more modern? I don't know.
I honestly just thought of that now when we were talking about the term, and I was like, oh, maybe that was what it was called in the original, and then maybe that. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but some of that stuff I thought was nice looking. And I think some of this is intentional, but like the casino stuff looked bad. But I think it was like honestly, it was like really flat. And, yeah, but I think that was intentional, like to just be like kind of feel like a casino, like overly lit. And
okay,
I'm guessing, but
okay. I know that's weird though that he would do that. Like the status that Roger Deakins is.
Yeah. Well, everyone has a bad day.
True.
Also, let's see so all the shots with the choir and the church stuff, like,
yeah,
those were cool because the camera definitely had like almost like you were like in the choir, like it kind of had like a nice like rhythmic movement and sway to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, and so I thought that was cool. Like it just kind of made you feel like you were part of it and part of that energy.
Yeah,
that was happening at the church.
You already mentioned this earlier. I really like all the gospel choir scenes. I thought they were great.
That just reminded me, like when she left early from church the day of the heist, and I was like, what is she leaving early for? Because she like realized what time it is, and she's like, oh, I gotta go.
Right.
And and I thought that was funny because then it was because she was having a bunch of ladies over after church.
Yeah.
And she's ambushed them to like.
Yeah, there was a lot of ladies over. Yeah.
So that was actually funny.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, stuff she did all the stuff with her was genius. Like she was so good. Like,
she was. Yeah, the stuff she would say about the picture on the wall, like that was great.
Yeah, her deceased husband.
Yep.
Yeah. And then just even though I didn't care for the execution from a story standpoint, the ending stuff was kind of cool when it was like when they all were dying, like it got very much more dark and tense, like from a lighting standpoint, and even lower angles and like just more narrowing looking shots that instead of wider shots to like kind of give it more the tension and the suspense and the like the isolation. That's what I want. Claustrophobicness of like the situation, like where they were each passing on to who was going to have to kill her so that they could get away with the money, right?
Yeah.
And so all that stuff from a visual standpoint and camera work, I thought worked well for what they were trying to do story wise.
Yeah, I agree.
What else did you have? Anything?
No, not for
visuals.
Yeah, that was it.
But what about the music and score?
We got a little more in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. It was more just normal, kind of older sounding orchestral score. And then I liked, obviously, I liked the gospel music in here too. What I didn't like though, and again, this goes into what we already mentioned with a lot of this other abrupt changes in the movie, is like you're going from like an orchestral score,
Mm-hmm.
cut to a gospel song, and then cut to like a hip hop beat, and then back to orchestral.
Mm-hmm.
Again, intentional, but I didn't like it. But I mean,
Yeah.
you got to do that if that's what they want with the visuals. So, yeah, but that's all. Every time we do another Coen Brothers movie, I feel bad because I keep hearing so many people say how good Carter Burwell is. And I'm not saying he's bad because, again, we keep talking about Fargo so far. It's like,
Fargo was
great.
the best from us, of course.
Yeah.
As far as my opinion.
No, I agree.
Um,
But he doesn't do that much in a lot of these movies.
yeah.
Like, a lot of it's pretty quiet.
Yep.
Also, I have nothing for themes and messaging. I don't know if you have anything.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right, good.
I was just bringing this up so I had the trivia too. So, well, themes and message. I was like the basically. I mean, it surprised you didn't like pick like, because I feel like it's like kind of the overarching thing, kind of your quote, right? Like it's the balance of morality and greed, right? Like, and even the guys in the team, and then even her at the end. So the guys in the team, each one of them, for the most part, other than probably Tom Hanks' character, they all had a moment where they almost like, wait a minute, what we're doing, we shouldn't be doing, right? So they each kind of have that moment. Then even her, he almost sways her at the end when he, like towards the end, where he's like, well, it's just a penny from each point, and it's like, and really those are the greedy people and they don't need it. And, we're just going to go for a good cause. And, we're going to give some of it to the university or whatever.
Yeah.
So he almost pulled her over with the greed. But then, ultimately, morality or, Christian values, whatever you want to use there, kind of prevail, right? Like it's almost like it was the pure at heart, right? And she kind of, even without having to take action, things kind of worked out, right? So like she's just the moral compass for the movie.
Right, because she's stuck with her morals the whole time.
Yep.
And except for you said the end.
But she did, because she basically, she was ready to turn it in, and then the cops were like, no, you keep it, and then like, so she really, she kept everything clean.
She did, yeah.
So that's kind of where I was, to me, I thought that was kind of like, I wouldn't say obvious, but like,
no, you're right.
It's almost like in your face there, because it's like so part of the movie. But then I was like, but I think that is what it is,
Yeah. I was trying to think of like
something deeper.
Yeah, or like just something not quite as obvious with that, but I don't think they're not always is.
Yeah.
Especially with Coen Brothers movies. You never know.
True. Just look at a little trivia here. So prior to filming, Tom Hanks did not watch the 1955 version. He didn't want it to influence the way he acted in the remake.
Maybe he should have. No, I don't know. I don't know how good the original is, but
Oh, this movie was produced by Barry Sonnenfeld. Sonnenfeld? who was the original cinematographer for the first 3 films.
Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm. This is the first film where they were both actually given directing credit. Because before they were always in producing credit, they were really split. One was shared these duties on all their films, but Joel had always been listed as the director and Ethan as the producer. But they've always taken turns in the duties. This might be interesting. All the musical instruments were recreated by guitar maker Danny Farrington because, according to him, the owners of authentic antique instruments refused to lend them for the film. So he had to make them all.
Why wouldn't they let him? That's interesting. He couldn't even rent them, so he had to just make them all. Well, he did a good job. But that's weird though.
The exterior shot of the Riverboat Casino is the Ameristar Casino in Vicksburg, Mississippi, on the Mississippi River. The lettering on the paddle wheel was digitally replaced in the movie. And the parking lot emptied out. The River Casino operates 24/7. The 2 large river bridges nearby were also digitally erased. So there's they took a bunch of stuff out of that scene just to make it.
How hard was that to do in 2004, 20 years ago?
Probably not at that point. Not too bad.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I would think.
Honestly, it's crazy that this movie's 20 years old.
That was funny, cool. Halfway through the film, when Mrs. Munson tells Professor Dorr that all sorts of religious music has been played in their church back in the 60s, she said, "We had a Jew come in and he had a guitar." And this most likely is a reference to Bob Dylan, who played several gigs in the South before 1965 in support of the Civil Rights Movement.
Okay. I remember saying that, but I didn't pick up on that, but that makes sense, yeah.
So Marva Munson, the owner of the house, bears the same name as the judge in the Coen Brothers film Intolerable Cruelty. In both cases, the women are African Americans. So even though it's not the same actress playing them.
Share the same name. Okay.
Plans to remake The Ladykillers dated back to 1998 when Robert Harling was attached to direct. So I guess it was they were trying to produce it for a little bit before having the Coen Brothers take it over. Oh, so I didn't look this up, but Ryan Black Clark, who plays the coach in football scene, also played Farmer Fran in The Water Boy. And then Ryan Hurst, who plays the lump from the point of view scenes, and he also was well known in the role in Remember the Titans.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's from.
I did recognize, the coach as the, from The Water Boy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's enough trivia for this one. Fun little tidbits.
I mean, I didn't even know if there would be much for this movie.
Yeah,
for trivia.
There's always a bunch of crap in there. Whether it's worth anything reading, that's a different,
I always do a few at least.
So what, any final thoughts on this?
Nope. I stand by it. I think this is just like the Coens' low period.
Yeah. Still think there's some of those older movies that I didn't care for as much as this.
I guess so.
I think I like this better than last week's Tolerable Cruelty.
Yeah, in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, next
Yeah.
is No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
So you've seen this movie, right?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, I have not. So this will be a. Yeah.
That's awesome. Not even like started it ever. You never even.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I won't hype. I'm trying not to hype it up too much for you, just so you can go in as blind as possible and just see what you think about it. But yes, I love this movie,
Okay.
and I believe it's still. This is the one I was referencing with cinematography wise too, because I believe it's still Deakins. And man, we talk about outdoor. Oh, we were talking about No Brother, Where Art Thou? The outdoor, some landscapes that he does.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for landscapes in this one
Okay.
too, because it's good.
Nice.
It's really good.
No, looking forward to it. I know it's definitely one that is I've heard for many years like this, some people's favorite movie, whatever, so yeah.
Yeah, you have to check. I haven't looked recently, but there's a pretty decent amount of Academy Awards, either nominees or wins for this one too, coming up. So yeah, it's great. I guess we might have some guests.
Maybe, yeah. Good chance there'll be a guest. Guest or two.
I know there's a few people that wanted to be
guess
on
on
this
that
one.
one.
So
Yeah.
It's gonna be probably a long pod either way.
Yeah.
I think so. Even if it's just the two of us, because I will have a lot to say, and hopefully you will too, Josh.
Yeah. I'm sure I will. Yeah. So let us know any of your thoughts on. Have you seen the Ladykillers? Maybe even you saw the old one. Let us know. Or if you agree or disagree with anything we said in this. I'm sure you disagree with lots of things
Yeah.
that were said. Maybe it was even about tomahawk steaks.
Or Tom Hanks. Maybe you love Tom Hanks in this movie.
Yeah, true.
Right
Anyway,
in.
yeah, send us an email, feedback@screentimepod.com, or leave a comment in YouTube. Please like and subscribe if you so choose. We appreciate it. And with that, if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, I'm at JYoungBar.
And I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week.